Okay, so today's piece is Density 21.5 by Edgard Varèse, a very famous flute piece from the 1930s, written in 1936 at the request of Georges Barrère for the inauguration of his platinum flute, revised April 1946. 21.5, of course, is the density of the element platinum. I was given this score at a composer workshop or something. You're looking at a lot of flute stuff. It's just 2 pages. Edgard Varèse is, of course, famous futurist composer, not just a modernist, who spent a lot of time trying to write his pieces. I think he has a very small output of pieces. If you listen to his early orchestral stuff, like Emeric, it sounds like The Rite of Spring by Stravinsky, but kind of on steroids. And he just kind of went with that. Like he tried to like pursue that kind of primitivist almost thing further and further. And this was quite a ways into that style, I think. Um, what would his late stuff be like? Desert, maybe. Uh, he also is famous for this piece of electronic music, which merged like tape music techniques and like like what I'm saying is like both synthesized sounds and music concrete. That piece is called Pomme Electronique, and it was for an installation. So there's that influence as well of electronic music. Um, Varese was born in 1883 and died in 1965. As a French-American avant-garde composer, he coined the term organized sound in reference to his own musical aesthetic. Um, Conceived of the idea of like sound mask composition, which of course became very influential. Like he made his American premiere conducting Berlioz' piece, um, the Grand Mastemor. Uh, yeah, Amerique's, which I mentioned before, is 1921. Whereas this flute piece is quite late, 1936. During the 20s and 30s, some of his principal creative activities were two ambitious projects which were never realized. One was a large-scale work, typically called The Astronomer, based on Native American legends. Later, it became a futuristic drama. His other big piece was a choral symphony simply titled Espace. That's also unfinished. And yeah, his late recognition was with the Poem Electronique I was talking about at the Phillips Pavilion. Very influenced by medieval and Renaissance music, as well as the music of Scriabin, Debussy, and of course Berlioz and Strauss. Like I said before, I think the most clear influence is like Stravinsky's early ballets. Yeah, had a huge influence on modernist composers, obviously. So yeah, link to this in the video description. This might be our only Varese episode, so I guess hopefully I'll get you enough of an introduction to his work. It's a very small catalog, and all of these pieces are very influential. Yeah, 15 pieces. I'm like hardly anything, so definitely check some of these out. Nice, yeah. Unfortunately, this is a banger. Yeah, it's still really hits. I kind of forgot how it went, but it was that first Ide Fixe like melody thing. It just I immediately remembered the whole piece. So it all was very nostalgic today, I think. Um, I think it's remarkable what he's able to do with rhythm, just working with one, two, or three pitches, usually two or three pitches. And then, yeah, I think sound mass is a good way to kind of conceptualize these different harmonic areas that the piece explores. It's nice and short, and it uses the high register of the flute in a really interesting way. Like, really breaks up the instrument into its different registers. So I think, yeah, it's really cool. It doesn't sound like particularly contemporary. It sounds pretty old still, but definitely ahead of Debussy, and it's like not quite romantic sounding. It's definitely more unique than that. So yeah, it's like not quite atonal either. So um, yeah, I can see why it would be a very influential piece and why Varèse's style would be very influential to composers. Because it's all kind of quite intuitive, I think. So speaking of Debussy, tomorrow we're going to be looking at Syrinx, which no doubt inspired this piece, uh, which is about 20 years older, 22 years older than this.